Hello, everybody. This is Peter and my compatriot Fangirl here from our book club. Fangirl, say hello.
Hello, everyone.
We are here to reveal to you what we are going to be reading for the month of April this year. And we are going to swing from DC back to Marvel to read a very recent Marvel run. And it's one that I have read and I do not think you have read before.
No, I have not. And I'm so excited.
And what is the run we're going to tackle?
We are going to talk about Avengers by Jonathan Hickman.
So Jonathan Hickman took over the Avengers series and both of the titles, Avengers and New Avengers, in the wake of Avengers versus X-Men, which happened at the end of 2012. So he kicked off 2013 as the writer of these two series as part of Marvel Now. And they were very much the flagship series of Marvel Now, and they carry the big overarching plot that winds up ending Marvel Now and, in fact, in a way, ending the entire Marvel universe. So these two titles, Avengers and New Avengers, they're very intertwined with each other, and they don't really interact with a lot of things outside of them. And so they're a perfect thing to just bang right through. There's already an omnibus for the first half of this. There's an omnibus scheduled for the second half. There's oversized hardcovers. There's trade paperbacks in premiere hardcovers. There's a lot of different ways to get this run. And because it's recent, it's also entirely on Marvel Unlimited. But to make things simple, we're mostly going to be talking about how it's been collected in oversized hardcover because it has the biggest chunks. So the first week of this, we're going to be reading the first chunk, which is Avengers 1 through 13 and New Avengers 1 through 6. And that is in those two oversized hardcovers. Free, you got them there?
Yep, here they are. And, and that's the thing is, though, you're talking about having omnibuses and trade paperbacks for them. I'm actually talking like this. But these oversized hardcovers are really pretty. I mean, they're really nice and then, are well put together. So I think if you want to pick a collected edition, this is the best way to go about it.
Yeah, the only thing that is tempting is that when Jonathan Hickman puts out Marvel omnibuses, and you can even see this in the oversized hardcovers, his stories are, they read like one big graphic novel because they take out all of the covers and they just do his little title pages, and the story really, really flows. And so also, he's got a very specific idea of the reading order of what his issues should be. So if you got the Fantastic Four omnibuses by Hickman, it's like in this perfectly shuffled order, which the premiere hardcovers were not. And there were no oversized hardcovers of that series. So that is one potential reason to be interested in the omnibus. But I agree with you. I think the oversized hardcovers are great. It's my preferred format, and they look great on a bookshelf. For the second week of this, we're actually going to just be reading the entirety of Infinity, which actually
Here they are. Here it is.
I love the percussion. I have to give Faria a percussion credit on the video. So what's really interesting about this is in that style where all of the issues are just mushed together. You can't even tell where one starts and one stops. And it's actually containing Infinity 1 through 6, Avengers 14 through 23, and New Avengers 7 through 12. So it's a lot of comics.
Right. Okay. So this is going to be showing my lack of Marvel novel knowledge. But oh no, it's okay. Okay, I don't have to show that. This is Thanos, right?
Yes.
Good job. Is it. And yeah, and so correct me if I'm wrong. The rumor has it that this is going to be kind of the storyline for the Infinity War movie.
Well, not to spoil anything about the movie, but there are some elements that are introduced in that Infinity book that are obviously in the movie because we've seen them in the trailers. It doesn't mean that it's going to go down like they do in Infinity because there's a lot of different Thanos stories to draw from.
Right.
But clearly there's at least a little bit of a connection. So that would be week 2. So then in week 3, we will be reading Avengers 24 through 34 and New Avengers 13 through 23. Free is going to be holding up Avengers Volume 3 and New Avengers Volume 2. We basically skipped Avengers Volume 2 because it's duplicated by Infinity, more or less.
Right. So yeah, if you're buying like the whole set, don't get Avengers 2 because something that I did, but then I got it all of it in a lot and I had to kind of sell it separately. But yeah, this is the 2 of them.
Okay.
Volume 2 of the both. Oh,
And
sorry,
if this
Volume
is
3 and
sounding-
Volume 2.
Yeah, volume 3. And if this sounds confusing at all, in the description below, there's a link to my Avengers guide, which has every which way that this has been connected. And so then the next week, we're going to read the Avengers 35 through 44 and New Avengers 24 through 33. This is collectively known as Time Runs Out. It's advanced 8 months past the timeline of all of the other Avengers books. So we go right to the end game. And Freya has got those right there. It's actually just one big book.
Sorry?
Isn't it just one big book called Time Runs Out?
Yes, it's a one big one, and it's kind of like the same size as the Infinity, oversized. But yeah, it's like a nice chunky mini omnibus.
Yes. But wait, we're not done yet, because there's one more week in April, and that is going to give us the chance to read. Or actually, maybe this actually takes us into May, now that I'm thinking about it.
Right.
But we can't finish without reading Secret Wars, which is the culmination of not only Jonathan Hickman's run on Avengers, but also all of his plots that he'd been doing at Marvel, stretching back to Fantastic Four. And it's the end of the Marvel Universe as we know it in 2015. And so Freya has got the Secret Wars hardcover there.
Yay, here it is. And incidentally, this is also the first Avenger book I read, and I didn't understand anything.
Well, you might not understand anything again after reading this run, because I sometimes don't understand things from Hickman's run. So the other thing that I'll mention here is that there is another title off to the side of these titles called Avengers World that we will get into more talking about when we talk about the Avengers run that comes after Infinity. I might actually reread Avengers World, because I didn't get a chance to read them all together originally. So you might want to expect some further commentary from me around that. And I'll be sure to say in the weekly videos if for the next week I'm going to be tackling a big chunk of Avengers World. But this is a lot of issues to tackle. So we did not want to add that on to the required reading list. This is 47, 77, 87, 93 comic book issues, which we are trying to read in a 5-week period.
Right, which in Freya term is like a 2-day.
Yeah, me too. So Freya, do you know, have you ever read any other Avengers comic book after you read Secret Wars?
So I kind of, compared to my DC involvement, when it comes to Marvel, I kind of went ahead and read every single one of their events post 2000. So I know all of their events and all what everyone's been up to and those kind of things. So I have done that. Whether I understand a lot of it or not, no. But did I enjoy it? Hell yeah.
Well, good, because I think you have a good grounding of where those characters have been, and especially because Brian Bendis was in charge of so many of the events at the end of the 2000s, it's kind of like you do get a pretty good check-in on what's going on with all of the major Avengers, because he's the main writer. I mean, he wasn't the writer of Civil War, but then he was the writer of Secret Invasion. He was the writer of Siege. He, was one of the co-writers of Avengers versus X-Men. So there's definitely a through line between a lot of the events and where Hickman picks up the Avengers.
Right, and I think it's like one of the things, it's like because of the movies, Marvel movies that's out there and stuff, I kind of have a kind of ideas, and because I started reading them since the MCU started, so yeah, I kind of had some idea of where they are, like what kind of characters they are and what kind of decisions they're making and things like that. So yeah, it's very entertaining. So I'm actually kind of really freaking out and very excited about reading this kind of we just consider to be one of the best runs.
Yeah, and I will say for the Avengers that the Avengers don't have a lot of really lengthy runs that feel like one big story. They have a lot of classic story arcs that are Under Siege and Avengers versus Defenders War and Galactic Storm, but they don't really have long periods where people remember it and talk about it like one big story, even though they have many good long runs. And then Bendis's Avengers just is such a different kind of Avengers title. This is really one of the distinct big Avengers runs. I have both positive and negative feelings about it, which will come out over the course of the read. I don't think it's the best comics ever made, but I think there are a lot of really good issues in it, and you will definitely hear me be excited about some of them and negative about some other ones. But I wouldn't be recommending we do it for book club if I didn't think there were good things to take from it. I'm never going to recommend we read a bad, boring series, and so there's a lot of ups and downs in your next month of reading, so get ready.
Yay!
So definitely, you do not have to read along with us. The videos will not be live. They'll turn up on the channel. Our typical day for these book club videos is Tuesdays, so we should be keeping that up. And every week we'll tell you what to read for the next week. So the first Tuesday for this will be Tuesday, April 3rd. Any final words for our intrepid readers, Faria?
Welcome. Like, welcome to this journey. And, Kamala, I'm happy that you are joining us. So, yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah, and I think I'm excited because as I said, I read this in piecemeal and trade paperbacks as it came out. I was buying every little bit of Marvel now. And so I'm really excited to read it all together. It's the kind of story that benefits from binging because it's even over the course of the month is going to feel long. I think you could binge it over 3 days and get a lot out of it because so much stuff connects to so much other stuff. So tune in April. And maybe if we're lucky, we will end April with a discussion of the actual Avengers Infinity War movie as a special. Here did Chris Evans. I know.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Come on.
As a special cherry on top of doing this run. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you're excited. Hopefully you can keep up with us as we're reading this in April. And thank you so much for watching Crushing Comics here on my channel.
Bye.